Fans of The Boys will soon get a deeper look into the twisted history of Vought International, as well as two of its most deadly soups. A prequel series titled Vought Rising is in production and will delve into the origins of the corrupt corporation during the 1950s. The series is set to star Jensen Ackles and Aya Cash, reprising their roles as Soldier Boy and Stormfront, respectively. Described as a twisted murder mystery, Vought Rising will explore the early exploits of Soldier Boy and the diabolical maneuvers of Stormfront, who at the time was known by her real name, Clara Risinger. The show will, of course, be set in the post-World War II era, a critical time for the development of Compound V and the establishment of Vought's little superhuman development program. Production for the series began in August 2025, with the expected release on Prime Video in late 2026 or early 2027. The first episode is titled Red Scare, hinting at the political and social tensions of the Cold War era that will serve as the backdrop for the series. Now, before Soldier Boy and Stormfront arrived in The Boys, these two soups led long and storied lives, shaping the very history of Vought International and its superpowered creations. Though their paths were intertwined with the company's rise, their individual histories are steeped in secrecy, propaganda, and, surprise, surprise, violence. Here's everything we know about the life of Stormfront prior to The Boys. Our story begins in Nazi Germany, where Clara Risinger was the wife of Friedrich Vought, the scientist who created Compound V. As a fervent believer in Nazi ideology, she became the first successful recipient of the serum, transforming her into the world's first superhero. It's potentially worth noting that at some point in here, Clara and Frederick had a daughter named Chloe, whose death Clara greatly lamented later after assuming the identity of Stormfront. We don't know much more than that, and that she had died from Alzheimer's disease, but we can assume that Chloe will have some sort of role in the upcoming Vought Rising series. During World War II, Clara was a powerful weapon for the Third Reich. However, as the tide of the war turned against Germany, Friedrich Vought defected to the Allies, bringing his souped-up wife with him and changing her name to Adele Vought. And then to further conceal her past, in the 1950s, Vought rebranded her as Liberty, a patriotic American hero. For decades, she operated under this new identity, fighting for truth, justice, and the American way, all while secretly harboring her vile racist beliefs. These beliefs led to multiple racially motivated murders, including that of Valerie Hunter's older brother Myron, whom Liberty had wrongfully accused of robbery. This would lead to Vought paying off Valerie to cover things up. It's unknown whether she was given more identities over the years. In 1979, Liberty left the public spotlight, seemingly never to return. Her long life, a side effect of Compound V, allowed her to witness and subtly influence Vought's growth from the shadows. She saw the creation of other soups, including Soldier Boy, and the eventual formation of the Seven. All the while, she waited for the right moment to step back into the spotlight and push her agenda of creating a soup-led master race.
No soup for you!
Soup. Meanwhile, Soldier Boy was publicly hailed as the original American superhero, a World War II veteran who stormed the beaches of Normandy and single-handedly took down German battalions. Vought's propaganda machine painted him as a humble, patriotic boy from Philadelphia who became a symbol of American strength and exceptionalism. The reality, however, was far murkier. Born in 1919 to a wealthy and abusive father, the boy who would become Soldier Boy was named Benjamin and was chosen as one of the first test subjects for Compound V on American soil. While he was active during World War II, his actual combat experience is questionable, as Vought was unwilling to risk their most valuable asset. His primary role was that of a propaganda tool, a living, breathing symbol to boost morale and sell war bonds. Basically, shitty Captain America. After the war, Soldier Boy became the leader of Payback, Vought's premier superhero team before the advent of the Seven. This team included a rotating cast of soups, including a young Black Noir and Soldier Boy's sidekick, Gunpowder. He was a massive celebrity who spent his time cavorting with politicians and fellow famous people. However, behind the scenes, he was known for his violent outbursts and abusive behavior toward his teammates. Also, in 1952, he founded HeroGasm with Liberty, meaning in theory we'll get to see the very first HeroGasm in Vought Rising. So, hurrah! Potential new HeroGasm episode incoming. In the 1960s and 70s, Soldier Boy was used by Vought to disperse riots and quiet down protesters. Then, in the fall of 1980, Jonah Vogelbaum had Soldier Boy ejaculate into a cup under the guise of wanting to study his genetics. This cup of home cooking would eventually be used to create a baby soup who'd go on to become Homelander. At some point in the early 80s in Harlem, Soldier Boy brutally killed Mother's Milk's grandfather and 2 other members of the Milk family when he threw a Mercedes-Benz into their house. 1982 saw the release of the film Ghosts of Hanoi, starring Soldier Boy. In 1983, he starred in the film Red Thunder and attempted a career in music. While in-universe these seem to have done very well, they are what they are. 1984 saw Soldier Boy film an anti-drug ad, despite the fact that he was himself a drug addict. So, like most soups, bit of a hypocrite.
Real heroes don't use drugs.
Later that year, during a covert mission called Operation Charlie in Nicaragua, with Payback, he was betrayed by his own team, who had grown to hate him. You know, because he was a dick. Some of this was witnessed directly by a young Grace Mallory, who later tells Butcher and company about the irresponsible and mostly incompetent team. Anyway, Payback handed him over to the Russians, who held him captive and experimented on him for decades. Vought, seeing an opportunity to introduce a new, more powerful superhero in Homelander, covered up the incident, claiming Soldier Boy had heroically sacrificed himself to prevent a nuclear meltdown. Now, having said all that, you're probably wondering about what liberties the TV show version of The Boys took with the comics. After all, the show does have a long history of big changes. Well, let's delve into the most overt differences between these characters' portrayals. In the comics, Stormfront is actually a German man whose real name we've never been given. He's the leader of the super team Payback, while in the show, Stormfront has no connection to that team, which, as previously noted, was led by Soldier Boy instead. While he was a product of Nazi experimentation, he does not have the connection to Frederick Vought that's established in the show. Also, the alias Liberty is unique to the TV series. Soldier Boy in the comics is actually a legacy title held by multiple individuals. The original died during World War II due to his incompetence. The Soldier Boy featured most prominently in the comics is a much weaker and more cowardly successor, a naive and pathetic figure who is desperate to join the Seven and is often the butt of jokes. The show combines these figures into a single original flavor Soldier Boy who's hyper-masculine, arrogant, and a pretty traumatized figure. Basically, he's a more formidable and complex character in the show, which also made up the concept of Soldier Boy being Homelander's father, as well as the powerful radiation blasts he emits as a result of the Russian experiments. That power, which can negate other Soup's abilities, is not present in the comics. And yeah, that's about all you might need to know about Stormfront and Soldier Boy before their appearances on The Boys. Of course, with Vought Rising, it's only a matter of time before a lot more is added to their histories. What are you hoping to see in this latest Boys spinoff? Let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching ScreenRant.